Listen to Steve Kenny, General Manager of Honeywell, who discusses the impact of connected services, digitization and new technologies in thermal processing.
What are the major challenges for the thermal process industry?
Look across the demographic of the workforce that has thermal combustion experience. It's an aging workforce without probably investment in a younger generation taking over those roles. So there's a huge threat, but also a fantastic opportunity for us as an industry to really understand how we can take that knowledge base and be able to digitize it and bring it all together in one location. And I think that's where the Honeywell Connected Plant, Thermal IQ, as we've spoken in the past, and especially with our Assure Thermal IQ, that really is taken the legacy of our 5-6 brands that form thermal solutions, all with over 100 years history. We can now help end customers who are struggling to find a workforce to be able to manage their assets. We're the premier choice to be able to remotely monitor it, to proactively monitor their systems, to help with yield improvement, preventative maintenance. So there's an endless amount of offerings that we can put through.
How much of the burner technology can be digitized?
We also as a business need to understand that the heart of any system is also the burner. And we've made significant investments over the last couple of years in our electronics capability, because that's really the platform where we can digitize. But I think you're also going to see some life breathed into our burner platform as well to drive ultra-low emissions, especially around recuperative burners and burners with multi-burner applications.
Can you give us a short insight into your portfolio?
The thermal solutions portfolio is really comprehensive, and we really have coverage across the electronics, so from burner management through to flame detection. That interface then into be it a DCS system or into a PLC where we can then extract the data through Thermal IQ. So the electronics is very much covered by our portfolio. The fuel supply is a key element as well, so from the gas valves to regulators, so the safe fuel supply with the most comprehensive range in the industry. Then the burner technology with both Maxon, Eclipse, LBE, Hauck, again a fantastically broad portfolio covering low, medium and high temperature applications. So there will be a range of recuperative burners launched to 2020. Which are going to be, as I say, on the recuperative side to be able to give high temperature but also very low emissions, and typically would suit very nicely into our furnace and oven manufacturers where you've got multiple burners on an application.
What will be the role of fossil fuels in the carbon-free future?
I think emissions have been driven a lot by legislation globally over the years. But we're already seeing that companies and multinationals in particular are becoming far more proactive in looking at their own carbon footprint, looking at how they can drive energy efficiency across their whole enterprise. So there is legislation, I think, which will drive in certain areas, but we're already seeing a proactive customer base which is hungry for more energy efficiency, lower pollution, without legislation in place. So that's, I think, an interesting dynamic that legislation is going to drive it, but I think there's also maybe a good citizen type of approach in that, but there's also the economics behind it, is that the less the pollute, generally the less energy that you are burning as well. Price is also becoming maybe the second, third, fourth most important parameter. The technology and the performance of it, the yield it gives are obviously extremely important, but also, as I say, the carbon footprint and the emissions that it makes is one of the key, I think, decision-making criteria that is now made in selecting burner technology.
What role will electrical heating play in the future?
I think it's an interesting dynamic, and that I do think that electric has a clear role to play. In particular, we probably see more trend towards different types of fuels. So we see more and more inquiries coming for hydrogen-based burner systems. So that to me is an interesting dynamic. I think all all of them are going to coexist. I don't see there going to be a significant tail-off in natural gas in the short term, or a sudden increase in electric. I think something like that, I think, would need to be legislation driven. And we've got such a installed base that there's going to be significant maintenance of the existing base for many decades to come. So I think that gas burners are definitely here to stay for the future.
Do you research in alternate fuels?
So there's more research going on different and alternate fuels. So there is a range of our burners where you can switch from gas into different oil technologies as well. But I think we're at an interesting juncture around looking at which other potential fuels, gases, could potentially become the fuel of the future. But again, it's very niche at the moment, and as I say, we see greater inquiries starting to come through on hydrogen. That's probably the one that we see the biggest trend on.
What do you think about hydrogen as the fuel of the future?
Well, I think there's some just practical challenges in that hydrogen is a very light and thin gas. So making sure that you safely transmit that is I think going to be one of the fundamental challenges. And obviously it's quite an explosive gas, so the safe transportation and storage is going to be also a key element for the industry. But yeah, absolutely interesting times. Starting from a research and development perspective, really looking at our instrumentation on our fuel delivery, our valve portfolio and regulator portfolio, seeing what upgrades we could do to that, which we could probably do quite quickly to cope with the fact that it's such a lighter and thinner and less dense fuel compared to natural gas.
What is the key element of Honeywell's digital solutions?
We've spoken about the benefits that the connectivity and our combustion experience brings with Thermal IQ, but when you start to look at Honeywell Processor Solutions, Forge and Hive, as you say, I think security, cybersecurity, then becomes a significant element, even for the Thermal IQ. If you think we are dealing with safety equipment in key capex, high capex industrial plants, maintaining those assets, the safe operation of those assets, and making sure those assets remain under control and free from cyber hacks is absolutely a key element. And Honeywell Process Solutions offering is significant benefit for our customer base. We've got great expertise across all of our industrial plants, many years of industry knowledge. So a great opportunity to work with Process Solutions with our cybersecurity offering.
The interview was held by Thomas Schneidewind, Editor-in-Chief of Heat Processing.